Welcome to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Goodrich,
And I'm Michelle Martin.
coming to you today from the Smoky Hill Trail. Actually, I'm not on the trail today, and neither is Michelle, but we're there in spirit. And it looks like I've got Mark Berry waving from inside my head, like the little people are popping out or something. I'm going to move so you can see that. Yeah, that's Mark Berry riding shotgun and J.D. Perry driving the Butterfield Overland stage that is in the Fort Wallace Museum with Minnie and Pearl pulling along behind. And of course, the Butterfield Overland Dispatch followed the Smoky Hill Trail to Denver from Atchison, Kansas. And I am proud to report that I am the incoming president of the Smoky Hill Trail Association. So you know, um, I guess they're just getting pretty desperate. I don't know what the deal is, but here I am, and thank God there are a lot of other great people involved to keep things going. But really looking forward to the next year or two and doing stuff with Smoky Hill Trail.
Deb, I think uh, because Kansas has that reputation as flatland and flyover or drive through state, people do not get off the beaten path enough to realize Kansas was a major transportation conduit for the entire Western United States.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Smoky Hill Trail plays a big piece of that. And just like the Santa Fe Trail and all the other trails crisscrossing the nation, the Smoky Hill Trail is made up of animal paths, American Indian trails. All those paths of least resistance were chosen because they were good paths, no matter what your
Hmm.
conveyance. If you were walking, if you were following the deer or the buffalo, or you were riding in the luxurious stagecoach pictured behind me. So it's those trails just keep evolving. Most of our major highways, I-70 follows a lot of the Smoky Hill Trail route.
Hmm.
So yeah, a lot of our major highways today follow some of those original trails that are thousands of years old.
And Deb, we have the Smoky Hill Trail in Kansas, we have the Santa Fe, we have parts of the Oregon, the California. Uh, then you've got with the Santa Fe, you've got, the wet route, the dry route, you've got different branches off of that. We have cattle trails that come from Texas up through what was the Indian Territory and into parts of Kansas. Kansas really, as a transportation hub and as a hub of commerce, really sets the tone, excuse me, for
Yeah,
westward development in the
yeah,
19th century. And I think we
yeah.
forget about that. I think we forget about that today. And one of the things that I know you're passionate about and that I know the trail associations involved in are things like this behind me
Yes,
over that
exactly.
shoulder, and
Yeah.
that is marking different
Hmm.
parts of the route, so we know how and where people and commerce and animals came together, sometimes in conflict, sometimes in cooperation, during the 19th century especially, and how these trails are important because they bring different people together.
They do. And like you said, you've got commerce, you've got immigration, you've got all kinds of things going on. The cattle trails, the Chisholm, the Western, are crisscrossing the Santa Fe and the Smoky Hill and the Oregon and, everything else. By
Hmm.
then, maybe the Oregon's not as much in use by the 1860s, but the military roads, those
Hmm.
military roads are another big piece of westward expansion and the development of Kansas. And of course, part of the military road again follows the Smoky Hill Trail. The Smoky Hill, name for the Smoky Hill River. The Smoky Hill River is one of the rivers that comes together to form the Kaw at Junction City. And what else is at Junction City? Fort Riley.
Fort
So you've
Riley.
got, yeah, so the military role is everywhere. And I'm sorry, it looks like I'm ghosting there. It looks like I'm fading. It's hard for me to be still. So I will try. Speaking of ghosts, I was in the cemetery in Philadelphia with my dear friends for General Meade's birthday on New Year's Eve. I had not been there for that event in 6 years, so I was so tickled to be there. Um, and we toasted the general, toasted the Navy. We just toasted anybody who would stand still. Um, General Meade was smart enough to be born on New Year's Eve, so just an automatic excuse for a party. So we had all these wonderful groups coming together, and one of the things that I was asked to speak, and I couldn't refuse. And one of the things that I was talking about was, inviting people to become part of the 200th anniversary of the Santa Fe Trail, which is going on through 2025, and look at all the connections that they have there. But again, with the Smoky Hill Trail, it's the same thing. There's so many connections to those finance centers and merchants in the East, in Philadelphia and Boston and New York and Baltimore and Washington and, so many, Charleston, so many of
Hmm.
those places have a big piece of the story of those trails that are passing through Kansas. So wherever I go, I preach the gospel of Kansas and the trails that come through our state and the military history and just how it all comes together. It's so cool.
It is. And one of the things that I really think is important and fascinating is the fact that in places like Kansas, we are able to actually go out to those specific locations on the landscape and actually see what is left of the Santa
Yeah,
Fe Trail or the
yeah.
Smoky Hill Trail. We're able to see what's left of stops, stage stops along those routes, relay stations, and other things, because I think it helps us put in perspective these multiple layers of history, of human interaction, of activity, um, that takes place in Kansas. Again, because I think the more we talk about how multi layered and deep and rich and complex Kansas history is, the more we help people understand it is more than a drive through or flyover state.
Absolutely.
And the Smoky Hill Trail is a part of that. The Santa Fe Trail, the military roads, from Fort Leavenworth down to Fort Scott, and then from Fort Scott into the Indian Territory to Fort Gibson. The roads that connect from Fort Leavenworth out to Fort Larned. Um, all of these kind of create this network, this web of moving people and goods and ideas around in Kansas. And I think that's one of the reasons why the history in Kansas is so incredibly vibrant.
I think so too. And speaking of stage stations, Fort Wallace has the only stage station left from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. And we are so proud of that. Pond Creek Station, which
Hmm.
is the reason Fort Wallace existed. You had the little community of Pond Creek City, and you had Camp Pond Creek established to protect it, to protect that traffic, the BOD traffic and the other traffic on the Smoky Hill Trail. And so then you get Fort Wallace built because of that. But we have that. It's our most valuable artifact at Fort Wallace. You can actually stand in that station where freighters walked in, where they sought refuge and got supplies and changed horses and all that cool stuff. That's an incredible artifact, and we're really proud of that. So come out to Fort Wallace and see it.
And Deb, one of the things that is becoming more important, and I think rightfully so, especially in the West, when we look at commemoration and marking sites like the sign over my shoulder that I will not attempt to point to because I'm directionally challenged. One of the things that I think is really important is that we start as historians, and as consumers of history to reach out to Native communities. to reach out to the descendants of the Native communities
Oh,
that would have been in
absolutely.
these areas,
Yeah.
because I would love to know the different Native groups who lived in the region of Kansas that is mapped along the Smoky Hill Trail. I'd like to know, what did they call that trail?
Yeah.
What did they call that creek? What did they call that river? Because when we do that, we're adding another dimension of history, of place naming, of respect for the Native people who called Kansas their home before white settlers came in. And but we add just this richness and this depth back into
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah.
So we see those, so we see the Native people who were there, the indigenous people, as human beings, and that is just the bad guy in the B Western movie. And we bring all of those folks to the table. And so I think that's something really important. So we learn more about the spaces that we inhabit.
Absolutely. And if you would like to learn more, join the Smoky Hill Trail Association. You can visit our website. We've got a great Facebook page. Got some fantastic people. So we have a conference every year that's always interesting and entertaining and involves um, trips as well as speakers. And so lots of cool stuff going on. So we'd love to have you.
200 years of stories take more than a year to share. The Santa Fe Trail Bicentennial continues through 2025. Join us on this epic journey of exploration on America's most historic road. Find our podcast each week on truckersradiousa.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us at santafetrail.org. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Well, there's no excuse for not getting outdoors, no matter how cold or snowy it is. Though we are going to talk in our next segment about how nice it is to stay inside and curl up with a good book too. But yeah, we're going to do the whole split personality thing today. You can go out for a while and then come in and curl up with a good book. But there's always some reason to get outdoors in Kansas. There is really, when you come right down to it, there are very few days that you can't enjoy the outdoors to some extent. We have had some challenging weather lately, but most days are pretty temperate. And behind me, isn't this gorgeous? This is Historic Scott Lake in Scott County, just south of Oakley. Oh my goodness, this is one of the most beautiful places. There's just all kinds of stuff to see and do there, no matter what time of the year it is. And if nothing else, just get out and walk around. It's just so pretty. And of course, in season, lots of activities, but even when it's in the midst of the cold winter months, it's just beautiful just to get out and walk around a little bit, let the kids walk around. And you've got the Battle Canyon site just, right next to it, which is also a really neat place to just get out and walk around a little bit and explore. So it's just always a great place to explore. And while you're exploring, you might also be getting some great exercise, mightn't you, Michelle?
Well, yeah, Deb. I mean, when I lived in Kansas, we did have some fairly snowy winters in the eastern part of the state. And one of the things I found myself missing was something from my childhood, and that was cross country skiing. I kept thinking, wow, there's some parks, there's some great spaces. These would be wonderful places to cross country ski. And actually, that is something that is picking up some more steam in Kansas in the winter months. And actually, if you're near Clinton Lake, there is actually a Clinton cross country ski trail that takes you along part of the lake. And so
I
this
had no
time of
idea.
year,
I had
yeah,
no idea about that. Yeah, that's way
yeah.
cool.
And so this time of the year, everybody talks about skiing and you immediately think Colorado and the Rockies and
Right.
downhill skiing. But let's face it, folks, not all of us are that coordinated. Not all of us are that brave. And some of us don't have good knees anymore after injuries or all those years wearing high heels. So I grew up cross country skiing in Michigan, and I think Kansas would be a fantastic place. You can pop those skis on and just glide over the snow. You can get some great exercise. You can take in some fresh air, the sunshine. You can get in touch with wildlife and nature. And hopefully, though, you're careful and you don't run into hunters, because even in the winter, who knew that it was crow season in Kansas? Squirrel season is in full swing. Beaver trapping is going on. So, so there's something for everybody right now. I mean, Deb, you've got some more information I know about different hunting seasons still going on.
Well, there's like a dozen, and again, the Department of Wildlife and Parks website is just incredible. There's so much information on this, but especially on the different hunting seasons, fishing seasons, and the requirements and all that good stuff. Some extended deer seasons, there's different regions. You got to, look at all of that. Fur bearer hunting and trapping. And I think we did like a special segment on that one time where what all's included in the fur bearers. Basically, if you can wear it, you can hunt it. But don't take my word for it. Do look up the regulations on that.
Deb, that would be a great slogan for a coffee mug. You could have, the rifle, and you could have the pelts. If you can wear it, you can hunt it. That would be a great coffee mug.
Oh, I agree. So that's going on through the middle of February. Crow season goes on into March. Light geese season, the second segment of that is going on through the middle of February. The dark geese season goes through the middle of February. Trout season, we love trout, goes on through the middle of April. Greater prairie chicken goes on through the end of this month, through the end of January. Squirrel season through right now, it is running through February 28th of 2022. So you've got through the end of February. I can't believe this is 2022. It's like that cartoon where you've got the two dinosaurs, and it's like I know we're in our Paleolithic, and I keep writing Mesolithic or Cretaceous. I'm going to show my ignorance. I don't know anything about paleontology.
Or I know we're in the Bronze Age, but I keep writing the Stone Age.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's sort of how it is with 2022. Ducks, duck season. Some of the duck season is running through the end of this month. Some of the geese into February. I know I've got a lot of buddies who love to go duck hunting. I don't know if they ever actually get any ducks, but they love to go duck hunting, and they have some of their best times. So there's a lot of, the hunting and fishing that you can get outdoors and do right now. So do look at ksoutdoors.com. Just the best website ever. You got all your safety regulations, all your licensing regulations, and just a lot of cool stories about the animals to be found in Kansas. And it's pretty interesting. So, like I said, no excuse not to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. So those cross country skis, are they as long as like regular skis?
Yeah, they're narrower than downhill skis. They're narrower, and the boot that you wear is not so
Uh-huh.
high up on it doesn't go up over the ankle. It's not so restrictive.
Wow.
And you just put on those cute little boots and you just step in and into the binding and they snap in and you just off you go with your poles and just glide along the snow. And when I was growing up, my entire family, we all had cross country skis,
I'd
and we
love to
used to do
try
that
that. I really
together.
would.
And we used to do that together in Michigan. And I, of course, you learn how to get uphill. And then my favorite part, though, we lived at the bottom of a hill and we could go down the hill. And that was my favorite part. And it was a little scary until I learned how to stop when I got to the bottom. But
Yeah, stopping.
yeah,
It's
stopping
it's
can be tough.
controlling the stop, I think, is the deal, isn't it?
Hmm.
It's not
Yes,
stopping, it's how you stop and how fast you stop. I think it's
yes. And actually, I learned the best way to stop as you got to the bottom of the hill and you had that momentum. Just sit down on the back of your skis and you stop.
well, I'm sure as big as my butt's gotten over the winter, that would sure do it. That would, yeah, it'd probably stop a truck, honestly. But all right, people, get outdoors. We'll be right back.
Howdy, I'm Seth Hayes, and welcome to my hometown, from then to now. Council Grove has a rich history as deep as the prairie tallgrass. Spend the day visiting 25 historic sites, or explore the unique shops and restaurants, or mosey out of town along the Santa Fe Trail. You all visit my hometown, Council Grove, in the heart of the Flint Hills.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
You all know that we love books, and we have written books. We live with books. We pile them up. We trip over them. And we have lots of friends who write books. And so we will not be all inclusive today because there's just no way and not enough time. But we do want to share some of our favorites with you and some of our favorite friends. And I'm going to start real quick. My token Scotsman, Ian Hall, who came to Kansas. It's a beautiful love story. Fell in love with his wife, Carla, in a chat room about music or something. And he grew up in Edinburgh. And then he moved to Topeka, where he has been with us for a long, long time. And we love him to death. And he writes all kinds of stuff. But he has, for all you folks who love Outlander and Highlander and, all of those things, he's got a wonderful series that I would recommend, the Jamie Leith stories. And he's a wonderful historian. When I used to have my talk radio show, I would interview Ian on history of Scotland and Great Britain and the Roman invasion and just all kinds of cool stuff. So just check out Ian Hall and whatever Ian has written. He did a series on Penny Dreadfuls too, which was absolutely brilliant. Just so whatever Ian does, it's great. So do check out my friend Ian Hall. Who do you want to start
Dad? Well, actually, I think I want to start with where can people buy great books, and especially some hard to find books. if you want to study Kansas history. And that leads me to our good friend Lloyd Zimmer of Lloyd Zimmer Books and Maps. Oh my goodness, Lloyd has been a fixture in the rare and collectible book and map world for quite some time. I have wonderful memories when I would come to see you in Topeka, and we would go visit Lloyd at his shop. And so, you know, he would be the individual who you would go to get such hard to find titles, things like Tomlinson's Kansas in 1858 that I gifted myself for Christmas. I found a copy, first edition, first printing, that chronicles Kansas in the year 1858 and all of the trials and tribulations and troubles between the Free State and pro-slavery factions that were fighting it out in Kansas. So you can get some really great reads that way. So take a look at our folks like Lloyd Zimmer. Take a look at our independent bookstores like Watermark Books and Cafe in Wichita. They can put you in connection with some great reads to keep you warm in the winter.
I have fond memories of lectures from Lloyd on not taking care of my books properly. And he would, you know, you open an old book and you've ruined it, you know, you break the spine and all this stuff. And I had one book that I actually sold back to him, and I said, I can't own this, Lloyd. He said, Deb, just get you a trash copy to use and put this one on the shelf and don't use it. I'm like, I can't do that, Lloyd. I can't do it. So, oh my God, he became so exasperated with me. So yeah, but Lloyd can find it. He can find it. If you want it, he can find it. And if he can't find it, it probably isn't out there anywhere. So yeah, we owe a lot to Lloyd.
Yes, we do.
I wanted to, God, there's just so many friends, and I have to mention, you know, we have to get into another generation. Not all of our friends are old. No offense, Ian. Alex Grecian from Topeka, who is a young man who has just had phenomenal and well-deserved success. I think I don't know if it was his first novel or first just really a novel to hit it big, The Yard, about Scotland Yard. And he's just so sweet. And I have to brag on his dad. Phil Griesen is a dear friend for a long time and a very, very talented writer in his own right, and theater personality. And Phil, while I'm still bragging on Alex, but Phil did the screen adaptation or the stage adaptation for A Christmas Story. So, you know, major award. Phil did the the stage adaptation for that. And right now, he is finishing up the stage adaptation of The Great Gatsby. I think that is pretty incredible. Yeah, from right here in little old Topeka, Kansas. So the Grecian family is just amazing. You know what, incredible wordsmiths, what really, really nice people. So yeah, make Phil happy and buy Alex's books, and you will not be disappointed. You'll be thrilled. Yeah, he amazing young man.
You know, Deb, I'm going to take us to even younger readers than Alex's target audience and talk about our good friend, Marla Matkin.
Yes.
Because Marla has found a wonderful way to kind of combine history and trying to foster in young children a love of reading with beautiful imagery in her children's books. And her first book, Custer's Mouse, which was about George Armstrong Custer's pet mouse that travels about with him, is
based on a true story.
Exactly, based in history. And she's working on a new book right now that I know is near and dear to your heart, and mine as well, because it connects us to Fort Wallace. And it is about Thoth's dragon. It is about Captain Captain Turner, finding that plesiosaur and a little boy who kind of gets to experience that adventure along with him. And so that book will be out in the new year. And oh my goodness, I can't wait to see how Marla weaves the storytelling and the history and the imagination and the creativity with the artist's amazing drawings and
we're
work.
so excited about that. The museum is actually publishing this book, and we're so excited about it. And yeah, we will definitely keep you up to date. We've got beautiful illustrations. My grandson Devin is the model for the little boy in the book, the model for the illustrations, and that was so much fun. But it is a sweet, sweet story about a little boy who lives on post when Dr. Turner and Scout Medicine Bill Comstock make this amazing discovery. You know, it's just an absolutely incredible discovery. And yeah, we'll have a lot of kids who are going to be, I think, really turned on to history by this story.
And paleontology and all kinds of great things.
I have, I'm, like I said, I'm not on the Smoky Hill Trail today. I'm actually sitting in Low Gap, North Carolina. Virginia is like, if I could actually throw a rock, I could throw a rock and hit Virginia. But I've got guys with chainsaws out here right now in my sister's yard, so I don't know what they're doing. But
my goodness,
if a tree falls, I may have to run.
Well, it's quiet here in Arizona today. So, Deb, who else would you curl up with in front of a fire and read?
Well, I've got to
in Kansas.
Got to give a shout out to my longtime friend Scott Porter. And, you know, I used to help with staff rides and media training at Fort Leavenworth, which was more fun than anybody's got a right to have. And Scott Porter, who was on staff there at the Command College, wonderful gentleman and officer and fine writer. And his new novel, Here They Come, is winning all kinds of awards. And I'm so excited for Scott. And his incredible experience and perspective and insight is really coming to life in this new novel. So I'm very excited about his success with it.
Well, you know, in keeping with our connections to Fort Leavenworth and Command and General Staff College and Combat Studies, I've definitely got to go ahead and give a shout out to our good friend Kendall Gott. And his books that deal with, he has a series of books that deal with the love of a young steamboat captain during the Kansas Territorial, but also the Civil War period. But his new book has just come out. It is called Gone to Kansas, 1855. And it is about a young man who pulls up stakes and heads to Kansas Territory. And boy, oh boy. If you didn't read any newspapers in the 19th century and you just pulled up stakes and headed to Kansas in 1855 and arrived here, boy, weren't you in for something when 1856 rolled around. Whew. Kendall's works are extremely well researched and well written and engaging. So you could curl up with that, have a hot toddy in front of the fire, and enjoy the book. And actually, we should congratulate Kendall. He's become a dog daddy again. He's got a new little pup named Carly. She's a little dachshund, and she is adorable. Kendall, women, especially readers, love dogs. So find a way to work the dog into the story.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. So we've got, you know, and we'll keep sharing these, you know, from time to time. We've got so many friends, and we'll share some links on here for you. And gosh, I'm just thinking of all the people that I wanted to mention. I have to mention, you know, my dear friend Esther Lutrell, who made me famous as a character, thinly disguised as Deb Goodman, beloved radio talk show host, in her Murder in Magenta and red, blue, green, murder, something like that. But her murder mystery set in Noto, the arts district in Topeka, north of the river. And Esther is so unbelievably talented. And Esther has started a series of podcasts, Mojave Beach Productions. So you can hear Ian reading one of his stories, I believe, or one of his stories being read. These productions are incredible, does all kinds of stuff. She actually had an interview with me, broadcast on one of these things. It's really diverse, a lot of talented people involved. So she just takes writing and does all kinds of stuff. She's just amazing, just amazing. So yeah, so check out Esther Lutrell, who is one of the most productive people I've ever met and the most talented people, and just keeps on keeping on.
Boy, I wish maybe she could have written my dissertation. I would have been graduated by now.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would, for sure. Yeah. And on, yeah, exactly. And on to the second or third book by now. She's unbelievable. She really is. Kind of like our friend Jack Davis, you know, you be at a party
Yes.
and somebody say, oh, I just finished this book. When he says that, it means he just finished writing one. You know, oh yeah, it's been a week. I wrote another book. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Sickening.
So, well, folks, however you decide to combat the winter cold and the wind on the plains of Kansas, we highly recommend a warm fire, a good blanket, snuggle up with a pup or a kitten, and a great book. So we'll share links for our recommendations.
And with that, we will let you go till next time. It's been awfully good being with you today. Thank you so much for having us in your home. I'm Deb Goodrich.
And I'm Michelle Martin.
And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.